Yes, sir. Is this working? Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir, makes me feel very old, but that's okay. I'm not 18 anymore. Okay, you may commence.
So I introduce myself.
You can deal
Okay.
with any of the questions.
Right, so I just wanted to say I'm Amanda McGannon. I'm running for City Council, obviously. This will be my first time as in public office. And while I want to talk about leadership, and I think leadership has to do with all of these things that we were given, I want to touch on the one thing that I see every day from my front porch and feel very strongly about. And that is going to be number 5, which is sidewalks. There are many areas on Brunswick with broken or missing sidewalks, and it is my understanding the city is currently studying exactly where the sidewalks need to be installed or replaced and how much it will cost. The information, I believe, should be used to develop a priority list of what needs to be done with an emphasis on the areas that have the most acute public access, like in front of senior centers, which I live in front of the senior center, schools. My son walks to school, to Brunswick Middle School, and there's no sidewalk in front of there, and things like that. So from a portion of the reserves and its operating fund on a yearly basis, then begin to devise a systematic program of installation and repair. So many times when I've talked to people in the community, which I'm very proud of, this has come up, and I think it's a very big issue. We're all in this together. Sidewalks are not just a city government problem or an individual property owner problem. The solution really must come from all of us, and the government's #1 function is protecting the health, safety, and welfare of its people, and having safe sidewalks is about as basic as you can get. So that to me is it.
I'd stop before the ceiling falls. It's a bad sight to watch. Angel, are you ready? Angel White?
I'm ready.
And you probably all know it, but we have had 2 town council candidates now. First Amanda and now Angel. And timer, are we ready? Okay, Angel, you may begin.
Okay, thank you. I've chosen leadership, number 7 question. What is the role of council in a modern
Talk
city?
into the microphone.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. So I've chosen leadership as number 7 question. What is the role of council in a modern city government? The city government more directly affects taxpayers than any other level of government. As the city grows, it's important to maintain an organizational structure that is able to meet the needs of the city. Having knowledgeable management chains is a critical component of any diverse organization, and the way to do that is to rely on professionals to lead qualified staffs. Commissions can be a good tool for planning and long-term types of tasks, but day-to-day management is better left to full-time professionals. The basic role of council in a modern government has not changed. Simply stated, council members represent the citizens to the best of their ability. Many times there are differing views among citizens. A council member then relies upon the facts and exercises their best judgment in the interest of the city. Further, as representatives, council members advocate for citizens when they feel their concerns are not being addressed and/or resolved. And I take pride in doing that very thing. Every day that I am here on the streets talking to citizens, and I speak with City Hall very often with the professionals that we have that are working for us, that know very much about how to do their jobs. I speak with them and ask them questions all the time, as well as our professionals in City Hall. And I appreciate their hard work, and I know that they're looking out for our best interest as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. You just made it under the wire. I know you all, it's sort of like we're going to one of those races, you just want to see that happen, but you know that I'm fooling about that, right? Okay. If you'd pass the microphone up to Laura Dvorak and hold it there, And I have another mic, I'm sorry? What? Doesn't it come back to the beginning? Is it?
It could go either way. I'm last. I'm last.
Are you last? Okay. Is that what you intended? Okay. Want to make sure I moderate with the correct rules? Tom, are you ready?
I am. Does this thing work?
Test it.
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
Okay.
Timer, are you ready? Okay, go.
Okay, I want to talk about the surplus that the city has. The city's got a $2.2 million surplus, plus $1.798 million in CIP. I would use this money to invest in Brunswick's future. You got almost $4 million laying there on a $4.4 million budget. And what I would use it for, I'd put a new building for the police department in the west end. Put another building there to house some of Public Works. I'd move planning and zoning from down at the Cass building over here at the annex up to the old police department building, and put the senior center down here with the food bank at the Cass building. There's room to add on to that Cass building in the back. We talked about it once before. And that would put the seniors with the food bank, and it put them in a permanent location. So if we did wanted to add on later to the senior center, then we most certainly could. And anybody that has any questions on the figures I just gave you, the 1.798 CIP and 2.2 million, look on page 12 of the city's audit this year, and you'll see those figures.
Thank you. Jeff Snoots, are you ready?
I am ready.
Wait one moment. I want to make sure the timer is ready. The timer is ready. Jeff, please proceed.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's a great turnout. It's good to see that people are getting involved in their local politics. I want to talk about sidewalks. What I like to do with the sidewalks is let's identify the areas that need to be addressed first. In my opinion, the sidewalks, or the lack of, need to be addressed for public safety, such as 8th Street from 2nd Avenue to the high school. This is a public safety issue. Children walking to and from school do not have a sidewalk to use. There are grants available that the city can use for this. I am researching and requesting information regarding these grants. Other cities and towns have taken advantage of these grants and have been awarded up to as much as $300,000. These loans have an 80-20 payback. The city should apply and use these grants. The payback from the city is 20% of the cost. We have to discuss the issues with the public. Some residents do not have sidewalks in front of their houses and were not required to at the time of construction. What do we do with those residents? What about those who cannot afford a sidewalk replacement? The city did agree to a sidewalk load program, which I voted in favor of. But if the resident cannot afford the repayment plan, what do we do then? The issue has not been discussed or researched enough with our citizens, in my opinion. A project plan for sidewalks needs to be addressed. We need to prioritize streets that are the worst and identify which sidewalks are safety concerns. Again, further planning and much citizen input is needed. And some of our surplus be spent replacing those that are a safety concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Ginger, are you ready? Ginger Kaya.
I'm ready.
For the town council. Okay. And the
I'm
microphone is
ready.
ready and the timer
All right.
is ready.
So I'm going to go
Please
ahead
go.
and I'm not going to bore you with the sidewalks. We'll talk about leadership. I am running for council because we deserve a city that takes bold steps in improving our infrastructure and conducts itself in a transparent, modern manner. We need someone like myself who is bold and not afraid to take a position. As many of you know, I work very well with others, even those who don't share the same position as myself. Thinking of any issue in such simple terms does not lead to progress. The world is not just black and white. We must be willing to work together and reach decisions that benefit the many and not just a select few. If elected, I will review all available facts and speak with local residents to see how issues affect them. Indecision and not having the ability to compromise are not qualities of a good leader. All elected officials should hold themselves and each other accountable for making informed and timely decisions.
Take your time.
Okay. For the past 10 months, I have been volunteering with several other dedicated ladies to manage our feral cat population by trapping, spaying or neutering, and vaccinating. I quickly gained recognition as the Brunswick Cat Lady and have been able to help local families with spaying and neutering of kittens and cats that they have rescued from the street. I have shown that I am able to identify an issue, address it, and find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. Ginger is running for the town council, and Mr. Snoots, you probably all know this, is running for mayor. And Karen, are you ready? Karen Tome is the incumbent mayor. Are you ready?
Yep,
and
I'm ready.
Holly, please proceed.
Okay, I'm going to speak to the leadership questions too. So what do you guys look for in a leader? I look for courage, honesty, passion, knowledge, the ability to inspire others, and optimism. 4 years ago, I was elected as your mayor with a unified voice for change. The other day, I was out in the community and I was speaking with someone, and they lived here about 20 years, and they said, it seems like Brunswick's doing like a 180. And that was music to my ears, because that's what we've been working for. We're inspiring a growing part of this community that has not been inspired before. And they and the other residents know now that they have a voice in the community. For the past 22 years, 2 mayors were unable to make that connection to bring about this change. One of them is currently on council, the other is asking for a chance on council, while his yard sign is often found next to my opponent's. I don't believe anybody thinks that Brunswick is not moving in the right direction. We've pulled together as a community with our diverse voices and talents to make Brunswick great. I've shown my leadership skills over the past 4 years through action by working with the county and state officials to get us earn the designation of enterprise zone. Commitment by devoting full time as mayor and leaving a part-time job I loved. Courage by making tough decisions in personnel issues and breaking tie votes. Humility by learning from mistakes. Passion by working with local artists to celebrate our amazing history in a beautiful public mural. Just like Grinch talks about the Christmas spirit as being within your heart, leadership comes from within. It's how you live your life. It can't be made up on yard signs, murals, full-page ads with leadership across the top. Now is not the time to change.
Thank you, Karen. You finished with a period. Very well. You have a career in radio ahead of you. Vaughn Ripley is running for the town council, correct, Vaughn? And you're ready to speak in the first round. And Holly, are you ready? Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so I was going to tackle reserves and surplus, and I feel like that one kind of tackles a couple of the other issues. We were talking about sidewalks. We didn't mention sustainability yet, but I think that comes into play, and then also transparency. I think first, transparency is one of the important things, and that's exactly what we're talking about with the reserves. Not everybody maybe understood that we had as big a reserve as we have, or the surplus that we have, and I feel like we need to have a little bit more transparency. We need to have a little bit more view into the city council, and I feel like that's something that I'll bring. I stay in communication with a lot of folks here, and I want to continue to do that, but from inside the city hall, so that we have more transparency. As far as I'm concerned, if we have any outstanding loans in departments, in any department in the city, that's ridiculous if we have reserves, because I would challenge anybody to show me what the interest rate of the loan is that a department has, and then look at the interest rate that we're earning on our surplus and see if there's not a negative there. If that's the case, then why aren't we using some of that money to clear up some of that debt? And along those lines, the sidewalks, everybody talks about on a regular basis. Well, I didn't even know that I was responsible for my sidewalks. Now, while I totally understand that and I care about that, obviously if it's written into the code, then this is something that we have to handle and deal with. That said, there's several families, many families that I know that just can't afford to fix their sidewalks or put sidewalks in where they need to be. So I think what we do is we use some of that surplus money and we work out either interest-free loans, or else we work out ways that we can work with citizens to help them in getting sidewalks in. I don't see why this is a really complicated situation here. It's very straightforward. We need sidewalks. Our kids are walking in the streets. We need sidewalks. This is simple. We've got money in the bank. We've got families here that all make money. Let's put sidewalks in. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Vaughn. Laura Dvorak, you're running for the town council, correct? And are you ready?
I am.
You ready, Holly? Please proceed. Thank
Can you
you.
hear me all right? Now? Is that better? How about now? Yes. Thank you.
Battery.
Operator error. Thank you all for being here and for being so engaged. It's wonderful to see that. I'm going off script. I did answer all the questions and you probably got my hand off, but I understand that I can talk about accomplishments and what I'm proud that I've done. I am a transplant from California. I've been here in Brunswick for 2 years. I've been on the East Coast a bit longer than that, starting out in DC and working my way up. And I retired from the Postal Service in the communications headquarters and find that my experience with communication, with dealing with people, with interpersonal communication, the skills building for bringing groups together and working with difficult people and all those sorts of things, those were classes I devised, I taught them, I wrote about them, and I have an understanding. And during my time on the West Coast, I earned an MA and an MS. And you say, so what? Well, I want to explain, so what? I love this town. There seems to be a bit of division in this town. I hear about red tribalism, blue tribalism, and I'm thinking, this is nonpartisan, right? It's nonpartisan. I hear about the good old boys. Who are they? I want to know who they are. What is this? I go to talk with people and they say, oh, Brunswick Crossing won't let us go to their pool. I'm thinking, it's HOA. But they can come to our pool. I'm saying, that's YMCA. Anyway, as you will note in what I've written, there's a power with perception and how people think things are. So please, we need to pull together. Whether you live in Galen Manor or Brunswick Crossing or in the Old Part, we need to pull together, and that's what I want to do with council. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Wow, that was perfect. Very good. Now, Eric Beasley, you are the last up in the first round. Are you ready?
Of course, always ready.
Okay. And Holly, you ready? Please proceed, Eric.
All right, so I'd like to talk about sidewalks for just a minute. I've actually been talking about sidewalks since February of this year. I went ahead, when I heard about the sidewalk program, I did a little bit of research. I wanted to find out if this was actually legal or not. The research that I did led me to a Supreme Court case in the mid-1980s called Loretto v. Teleprompter CATV Manhattan Corporation. It's really long and dry, but let me summarize it for you. When the government forces you to place an item in your private property, that constitutes a case of regulatory taking. That means that the government is taking your property through regulation. Now, in that Supreme Court case, it was decided that when you take somebody's property through regulatory taking, you have to provide just compensation. Now, you guys might remember that phrase. It's in the Fifth Amendment of our Constitution. I brought this Supreme Court case to the City Council in March, and I read the executive summary. I provided them with this information, that what they were doing with the sidewalk program and what is in our city charter is unconstitutional and illegal. Now, the City Council did not listen. They went ahead and proceeded forward with this sidewalk program. In my opinion, and based on the opinion of the Supreme Court, the mandate for you people to install sidewalks on your property and allow anybody to use it, completely illegal. It is unconstitutional, and the city should stop and change the charter immediately. On my website, beasleyforbrunswick.com, I've highlighted exactly how I would change the charter. I've shown you the language and what I would propose the second that I get on council to remove this burden on you and make the city pay for it, okay? I mean, wouldn't you find it pretty outrageous if the city tried to force you to patch the asphalt road in front of your house? So why should you be fixing the public sidewalk? Okay, at what point does it end? We need to delineate public versus private property. A sidewalk is public property. The public should be paying for it.
Thank you, Eric. I will refrain as a practicing lawyer from making any observations. I refrained, yes. Also, free advice, you get what you pay for. Now we're in the second round, and this should take 30 to 35